Jake here from Jake's History Expeditions. Today I'm exploring a place that was once more secure than the Epstein files, Battery 519 on the coast of Delaware. This 15,000 square foot fortified bunker was once a part of the impressive coastal defenses of Fort Miles during World War II, but today it serves as the location of the Fort Miles Museum. This room I'm walking into now was once full of all the tools needed to fire and maintain the 12-inch gun that was in Battery 519 during the war. But today it is full of interesting artifacts, such as these VT fuses that were tested here at Fort Miles before they were used in the field. The VT fuse is one of the most important inventions of World War II because it automatically detonated explosives when they came into optimal proximity of its target, making the explosive much more effective and deadly, because an explosive blast is much more effective when it allows for an airburst. The first room also had this replica of a German Enigma machine, used to secretly relay messages such as U-boat locations in the Atlantic. The German High Command could pinpoint the exact location using this German naval grid chart. Other cool artifacts in the room include these World War II bloodshits, which were issued to American aircrew serving in China to express that they were friendly and to request to be given help and protection. There was also this 100-pound bomb signed by Lieutenant Colonel Dick Cole, who was the co-pilot of Jimmy Doolittle during the famous Doolittle raid, which was the first time that America bombed the Japanese mainland during World War II. Lieutenant Colonel Dick Cole visited the Fort Miles Museum in 2016 before passing away in April of 2019. The walls in this place were incredibly thick. Everything in here seemed to be made of concrete or steel. The next room over was used as the powder room during the war, holding hundreds of 175-pound canisters of powder used by the battery's massive guns. The first thing you see in the room is this M1917 helmet, used in World War I and the early part of World War II. This helmet belonged to Private First Class Albert Lewis, who served at Fort Miles during the war. This display shows how the soldiers here at Fort Miles would have lived during the war. A pot-bellied stove for heat, metal-framed beds with wool blankets, a small footlocker, and lots of recreational activities such as baseball and boxing for entertainment. This display shows the different types of shells that were fired from guns here at Fort Miles. The large yellow one weighed 975 pounds and had a range of 16.5 miles. Next is a display of the different types of underwater mines that were used during the war for purposes such as coastal defense. The M4 mine sat on the ocean floor and held roughly 3,000 pounds of TNT. And the M3 mine floated near the surface. M3 mines were placed just outside the mouth of the Delaware Bay until they were replaced with the more reliable M4 mines in 1943. The last mine on display in the museum is the M2 mine, which anchored to the seafloor and could be detonated remotely. This one on display was thought to be lost until it was rediscovered in 2016 near the fishing pier, thanks to erosion caused by Hurricane Hermione. Thankfully, it was not full of explosives. The next display highlights the important role civilians played in coastal defense, taking on positions such as lookouts, nurses, and communication operators. Next, I headed back down the long hallway to explore the massive gun room. On the way, I saw this dye marker, which would have been dropped into the ocean by plane to mark the location of a U-boat or sailors in distress. And this map of the fort, which shows that the concrete and steel walls were 13 feet thick in some areas, and were designed to withstand a 15-inch shell fired at point-blank range. The first thing that you see when you enter the gun room is this piece of the famed U.S.S. Arizona, which was sunk during the Japanese attack at Pearl Harbor. This diagram shows the area of the ship that the artifact was taken from. It was amazing to see in person. The gun room obviously no longer houses the gun that it once protected. But through these windows, you can see out to the shoreline that it was built to protect. The next cool artifact is this azimuth rangefinder that was used in the watchtowers to spot enemy ships and to determine their exact location, which would then be relayed to the guns here at Fort Miles. And the final artifact that I'll highlight is this 20mm Japanese aircraft cannon. Guns like this one were mounted on Japanese planes and were used on the attack at Pearl Harbor. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.